the music gets us in the mood. You
I
know
love
what time of
it.
day it is? It is time to tell me something good. So I get to have my friend Meryl join us. She is the guru when it comes to what food you put in your system. She's always been in great shape mentally, physically, and I thought, what better time for her to share than now? What's good, Meryl Brandwein?
Oh, it's all good, Steve. It is all good. Listen, another day. I got my 5 miles under my belt. I am good. I am good. Right.
Good for you. Yeah, 5 miles, man. That's impressive.
Yeah. I had stopped running before quarantine, or I was in the gym a lot. And then, of course, quarantine hit and I got out and started picking up my mileage. So it was great. Got out this morning and, got my
Not surprised.
creative juices flowing and it's all good. So
I am not surprised. So, for the sake of my audience,
yeah.
introduce yourself, tell people what you do, what impact you're making on the world, and all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. So I am a registered dietitian. I practice what we call functional medicine, functional nutrition. What is that? It's all root cause wellness. We take people from illness to wellness. If you're already well, we look to supercharge you. And it's really about how do we nourish our bodies? How do we nourish our bodies from the ground up? How do we mind, body, soul, spirit, all of it, and really look at the whole person and understand how do we put all these pieces together to have you functioning at your optimal?
So, in my coaching practice, I talk to people all the time telling them, hey, listen, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. That's very broad. And so I sort of understand that. I picked up the habit of doing green juices, but I didn't really know what I was doing, why I was doing it. Some people say it's too much sugar. Some people say other stuff. So, what's the baseline here? What is it that you bring to the table that makes you you?
Well, there's a lot, but I think, just to address what you just said, it really is about putting real food into your body. How do you nourish your body with food? Because food at the end of the day is information for our cells. It's the only thing that talks to our cells. It is our operating system. So if you're not putting in real food with real vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all that stuff, your body's like, what am I doing here? How do I function? And so, and what we're starting to learn in the area that I'm so excited about and that we've really exploded upon is the whole field of genomic nutrition, right? What is that? It's genetics and nutrition, and it's understanding, because our genes function off of the food that we eat. Our genes are our operating system of our body, right? And so we know we can test our genetics or genomics, if you will, to see how foods speak and resonate to our own bodies. So this has been really exciting because we are able to really do individualized, personalized medicine and nutrition for people.
So that part is the most fascinating to me because everybody seems to have an opinion. There's every kind of, eat a lot of protein, don't eat protein, eat carbs, don't eat carbs. And so, it is easy to get lost in the maze. What credence do you give? Like, what makes you feel good? Like, a lot of times I'll eat something, it doesn't make me feel good. Like, it seems like there's some logic that I wouldn't eat it again.
Well, it's funny. I was listening to a few of your shows, and you talk a lot about connectivity and being connected to people, and that is so important. But I really feel that we have become so disconnected to our own bodies that we have no idea, we're not paying attention to what our bodies are telling us. If we just stopped and listened, it speaks volumes. From what resonates with you, like you said, yes, there are foods that resonate with us. We know we can look at genomics. We can even look at blood type to some degree, right? I'm not saying go out and buy the blood type diet, but there is credibility to listening to what your body resonates with, right? So that's important. And knowing from a genetic perspective, genomic perspective, what resonates, but really listening up here too, right? One of the simplest questions that I ask people is, are you eating when you're hungry and do you stop when you're satisfied? And people look at me like, I don't even know if I can identify hunger. Like, am I hungry? And it's like such a foreign concept. And I'm like, because like you said, right? I had someone say to me yesterday, well, I'm supposed to be eating 6 times a day. I said, well, that's a little too much, and you're not moving nearly enough for what you're eating, right? And so it does need to be individualized. And look, you're in the marketing business, right? You know, these companies they're selling stuff, and we believe it because we're emotional creatures and we want to believe what we're being told, but it's, not always so true. So yeah, you got to really pay attention to what your body is telling you.
So walk me through like how somebody engages somebody with your skill sets, number one. And number two, and I've been asking people this almost at scale, is what has the pandemic done? People are not leaving their houses. To your point, they're maybe not moving. They're eating more comfort food. So I'm curious, like, how does somebody engage with you? And then how do you deal with this pandemic with people with time on their hands? So.
Right. Great question. So people engage with me. I mean, we have many, many different ways to engage. We do it, via Zoom. We're doing telehealth. We have self-paced programs, and we have in person, right? So we were doing telehealth and virtual medicine, nutrition before the pandemic. So we were set up pretty nicely. But now we really can engage in what I've been doing. Since the pandemic is really trying to get out and be proactive in the community. And we've done a couple of Facebook groups on just, staying healthy in the crisis and just doing live conversations with people on how to stay healthy. So trying to give back to the community, much like what you're doing in that effect. But yeah, I've seen it's been a dual-edged sword for people in the pandemic, right? There have been people who have been contacting us. I've gained the quarantine 15 or 20, 30, and they're freaking out and they need to lose weight. But I think one thing that we've been able to identify is we do know these huge risk factors for people with, who are susceptible specifically to COVID and to, succumbing to this horrible virus. We know those risks. One of the major risk factors is obesity. More than half of our population is obese. That wrap your head around that.
That's scary. That is really scary.
And so we wonder why we're falling ill. And there's people who say, well, we thought he was healthy. Just because you're and this is the other, I think, misnomer is people think if you are thin, you are healthy. And that's not always true as well. And I think we confuse weight with health, whether you're overweight as being unhealthy or skinny as being healthy. It's a complete fallacy, right? But in terms of the pandemic, I think what we're seeing is people are paying attention to their health and trying to get a grip on if they have metabolic syndrome, if they have high blood pressure, if they have diabetes or cardiovascular disease. They're really trying to understand. And the work that we do is getting under the surface and really digging at where are those imbalances and how do we fix them?
So I'm really glad you went there because we do live in a marketing world. We live in a packaging world. And so you say, well, thin doesn't necessarily mean healthy, yet most of the messaging is thin is good, thin looks great, thin is the place to be. How do you combat, and I'm a victim of this, so I'm really interested in this. I gained weight during the pandemic. Jake was home from college and it was crazy, the food that was going on in our house. I mean, it was just insane. All of a sudden, he's gone. I want to lose the weight yesterday. Right. I don't want 6 months. No. Every client we have, I want to be a social media sensation tomorrow. Okay, you can't do that. So how do you combat? Because I went on a program, healthy or not, I went on a program that in 25 days I did lose the weight. I had done that once before with injections. I couldn't, when I think about it, I was injecting myself every day. So people are hung up on look much better than feel. So how do you combat that? Because that if it looks too good to be true, it is.
Oh, of course, right? And this is what the industry thrives on, the fad, right? And it makes fads. And I mean, look, I've known you forever. You've been doing these, right? People don't want to hear what's practical, and they don't, there's fear. There is anxiety around changing people's food. There is that self-sabotaging behavior. I mean, there's a lot of emotion, like you said, right? I want to lose the weight yesterday. And that is very much what the industry plays into, is the emotional brain. But the reality, there's a reality to all of this. And that if you really want to be healthy, we have to make sure that the body is getting everything it needs. So it's operating on all cylinders and really making sure that you are nourishing. I mean, I go back to that a lot, but really, and it's not sexy. What I do is not sexy. People are like, wait, what do you mean I have to show you what I mean? Or, the whole conversation around being hungry or full. Like, I don't care. Just tell me what I need to eat so I can lose the weight. So the problem is that's a really short-sighted way of doing things, because does that mean your body is actually healthy? I mean, when we go back and look, we're looking at inflammation. Inflammation is what drives the immune system, right? We're looking at a good microbiome, gut microbiome. If your gut is not healthy, your body's not going to be healthy. And so if you really want wellness and longevity long-term, you have got to start to pay attention to this stuff. People always say to me, well, I'm getting older. You talk about being 60 and in the best shape of your life. I mean, look, I'm 50 and it's like, I'm like just getting going, and so it's like, wait, so I don't let age determine where I'm at. And I think the idea that we think, oh, as we age, we need to deteriorate. We don't deteriorate because we age. We deteriorate because we don't take care of ourselves.
That is an unbelievable comment. I mean, I do these interviews every day. That could be the most telling thing, because I think people accept the fact I'm getting older, and so I should be feeling shitty, or I should be, and to a certain degree myself as well. So that is an unbelievable comment. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's so true. I always say, here's the gas tank. If the gas tank is going down and you're not refueling, then why are you surprised when it gets to empty and you don't feel well? Right?
Yeah, I think, you speak stuff that has logic. Logic doesn't make smart. You know, it's like smart is all. Oh yeah, I understand that, and still go back to doing the same stuff again.
Of course.
So here's my question to you, because I have a few. I'm so excited to have you on. So for me, food is a lifestyle choice. I embrace dinners and wine, and the whole experience of eating is more to me than the nourishment part. And in most cases, that excess is what you have to cut out. People tell you to cut that off. You can't go out and eat, a big pasta meal and blah, 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 but that's part of living. And in every single, diet I've been on, I've made a commitment to cut it out, but then I'm so bored that I can't wait to get back to, doing something that I know is bad. So how do you manage people like that?
So, here's the thing. I just saw a quote about this. It's all about being consistent.
I love that. Oh my God.
Because, people say to me, how do you maintain your weight? How do you maintain your health? I'm like, I am so consistent. It's ridiculous, but I am a food. I love good food. I mean, come to my house any night of the week. My kids are like laughing because I cook gourmet dinners almost every night.
Are you inviting me for dinner? Are you inviting me?
Absolutely. My friends are calling me like, what's for dinner tonight? Because, now my kids are out of the house. I'm home alone. I'm like, I'm cooking for my friends. But, and I take, and I take suggestions, but the consistency is part of it. And I think the other piece of it is that when you get used to eating clean, healthy food, your body rejects the other stuff. Like if I go to eat a big pasta dinner or whatever it is, I can have a little bit, right? And have a little bit and just enough to be like, ooh, that was good. I don't really need any more, but it's a matter of really the mind and the body and being able to say, okay, how do again, it's a little bit about balance, right? So you can enjoy the things that you want. I mean, we have to be careful with the whole alcohol thing and moderate, right?
That was the big, that's where I was going.
I know what I'm talking to. But it really, it doesn't mean the work that we do is not about deprivation and it's not about starvation. I think that is really important for people to hear, is that you don't have, to be healthy doesn't mean you have to be deprived and starved. I eat good, healthy food and it's delicious, right? Again, do I indulge? I do every once in a while, but I don't even have the desire for it. I think that's what happens after a while. You're just like, you know what? I'd rather eat something that I know resonates and just makes me feel good. So, and it's about being sustainable and realistic, right?
So I love that. I love that.
Diets that you're on are not sustainable, nor are they realistic. So if you find something more of a happy medium that you can maintain and be consistent with, then you're not up and down, and your weight doesn't go up and down. You fluctuate 5 or 6 pounds and you can catch yourself, as opposed to.
It's interesting because the parallels to my business, mind, body, it all plays together. I'm a results guy, but at what cost?
Right.
People think, oh my God, you must work all the time. No, I don't. I'm very disciplined. I work when I work. I'm more about, the execution of what I do. And it feels like it's the same thing with food. So I have 2 other questions before we wrap it up. You mentioned alcohol. Alcohol is a lifestyle choice that for the most part is bad for you, correct? So how do you let people who are social drinkers, it's not a problem, but I enjoy that. How does that mix with your, psychology?
Again, how do you feel, right? How does this make you feel? And so for people who enjoy the drink and drinking, look, I enjoy alcohol everywhere. I do it very socially, not frequent, because I literally have that much and I'm buzzed. But right, I enjoy the socialization part of it, having a glass, and but again, it goes back to, how does it make you feel, right? There are people who just keep drinking, and they're not paying attention to how it's making them feel. The kids now, my kid's like, oh, I blacked out. I'm like, what is the purpose of that? But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Oh, I know that conversation.
Oh yes. But so I think, like everything else, you can enjoy it if you're paying attention. I think we do a lot of mindless eating and a lot of mindless drinking. And the other piece of that is, what are we using the alcohol for, right? We're the same thing with eating. We're suppressing feelings. We want to feel better. And so if you're stressed and you feel it as a stress reliever, is that the best stress reliever, right? If you're anxious, is that the best way to treat your anxiety? There's a lot of much deeper conversation behind why I drink so much.
I love, what you're so, what an entertaining conversation. So my last 2 things, one is, and I have this conversation with Michelle all the time. She says that the way the supermarkets are programmed, the cheaper foods and the ones that are really bad for you are eye level. It's marketed to you in a way where if you go to Whole Foods and you buy the right food, it's going to be more expensive. So the masses are being fed cheaper. So I want you to comment on that, and then bring us home with, how can people get in touch with you for an upfront consultation or conversation? Tell people how they can work with you or get started.
Absolutely. So yes, the supermarkets are definitely driven to drive business, right? And especially now with the whole gluten-free craze, with the whole Impossible Burger fake meat craze, right? We think that if it says healthy, if it says natural, especially if we're going into somewhere like Whole Foods or a Fresh Market or a Trader Joe's or any of these places, that everything in there is healthy. It's not. We are trying to do healthy things, right?
Like what?
That there's other things that you've got to look at. It's not just gluten-free. If you're using gluten, there's other flour in there. There's other stuff in there that's not healthy. Same thing with the Impossible Burger or whatever fake meat, we're talking about. Everybody who's on a plant-based diet now, eating all that fake garbage is, that's, again, we could spend an hour on that whole conversation. But
wow, incredible.
Yeah, really, it is, we're not, again, talking about feeding our body with food that does something for our system. Any of that stuff doesn't really do that. But I digress. So yeah, but we are being sold. Yeah, if you work on the perimeter of the store, much better, right? That's where all the real food is. they get you in the aisles.
Wow,
Right?
good. No, that's a great takeaway for people to know, because that's the trap. If you get in the maze, that's where the cheaper, more processed stuff is. And
Yeah.
so I'm assuming in when you work with somebody that you direct them where to go and how to
Yeah.
shop, and that becomes part of the lifestyle.
Supermarket tours.
So
We use,
let's stop so I
yeah,
can edit it, because your internet is unstable. So
mine.
yeah, so it froze. So I want to go
Yeah.
back to right after that question. Just start right now.
Okay. So, oh wait, which one were
So
we on?
I
The
asked
food,
if,
right, yeah,
do you tell people how to shop and teach them, because that's a lifestyle thing also. It's like I can show you what to buy, or I can teach you what to buy.
right, right. And so we used to do, before pre-pandemic, we used to do food tours at Whole Foods or at a supermarket to show people how to do that. We will actually be putting it on video, because it's one of the most requested things that people ask for is, take me food shopping so I can understand, and when we did a food tour, it was 2 hours. I mean, it was a full 2 hours of just even doing the perimeter. Right? Oh yeah. And they were fun. I mean, we love doing them,
Yeah.
but so yes, we do teach people how to shop. We teach people how to read labels. Much of what we do is we do the mental emotional piece, and we always do the educational piece. You've got to educate people. People need a good food foundation, because there is so much confusion out there, right? I get messages all day long, and people are diagnosing themselves, and I'm like, get off Dr. Google. Stop with Dr. Google.
Dr. Google, I love it.
You don't have that. So there's just, and especially in the nutrition industry, right? Everybody is an expert now. There's the coaches, there's this one, there's that one. If you are not working with an expert, if make sure, the one thing I will tell you is, make sure if you're working with someone, their credentials, what their work has been. And that it's not just, I took a course over a weekend or a 2-month course and I'm now certified to do X, Y, and Z. We've got to really be careful with that. But as far as how to work with me, like I said, we can do it any way that people want, whether it's
Just tell people how to get in touch with you.
okay.
Is it by email or phone or
email, phone, any of it. MerylBrandwein.com. You can find us on Insta at Meryl Brand. I'm on Facebook, Brandwein Institute for Nutrition and Wellness. You can call us 954-727-9006. I mean, we're out
Good.
there. So yeah.
Well, I'm going to be a candidate. I want to explore what I'm eating. I believe I'm in good shape, but I am not confident in my diet. And I know that you can't out-train your diet. So
nor your genetics.
nor your genetics. You know what? That's really key too. So no matter what, it is an individual plan. And that also mirrors exactly how my coaching practice is. There's no two people alike, so I have to figure out how you learn, what you're comfortable with, all of those things. So this was fascinating, as I knew it would be. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. You do look great, which is fantastic. So all of that is something good. Thank you, Meryl.
Thank you. It was great to be here.